on 97X.
Dwyer and Michael's in 8:53 Friday morning. Here's Local 4 News pinpoint forecast for you. Cloudy and 37 today. They nailed it yesterday, did they not? When they predicted clouds?
Yeah.
Clouds for tomorrow as well. Really going out on a limb. 34 right now in the Quad Cities.
Yesterday was my big, lecture about saving money. Alyssa came to me needing financial advice. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, you're definitely paraphrasing.
Am I lying?
I didn't come to you. You just wanted to solicit your advice on...
One of my things, here's what happened. One of my things was I told her, you got to start paying cash instead of with a credit card, because you'll learn that once the cash is gone,
then you can't spend anymore.
The spending is over. Pretty good advice, right? That way you don't dig yourself into debt, because once you get into debt, it's hard to get out of it. So I thought that would tie in good with talking to Happy Joe, because he's been there. Nobody gave him a handout. He's self-made, successful guy. And Happy Joe is here. Is that accurate?
Good morning. Yes, it's very accurate.
Okay.
I thought we were going to talk about pizza.
We're going to talk about how to get rich. Pizza, you can do.
Talking about dough, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for coming in. Congratulations on your success. I mentioned this earlier this morning, and I don't know if you've ever even thought about this. When you drive around and you drive past a restaurant, a Happy Joe's, and there is your face, do you kind of understand what Colonel Sanders must have felt like to see his cartoon face all over the place? Do you go, man, that's pretty darn cool?
I guess that's true, but I just never... I feel like I'm the same guy I was 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I just don't take that feeling about... I get up in the morning and I feel like the same guy I was when I was broke. And now my job is to try to give it back.
Okay. There's a lot of things about you. You wrote a book, Not Your Average Joe. Is that the title of it? And it's all your little life lessons, I guess. How your story. And if you can't look at somebody like you and pick up one little piece of advice as to how you can be better or get ahead or make it. That was my whole thing yesterday. No one's going to hand you anything.
No way.
If you go for it, you got to start by believing in yourself. Is that fair?
That's the only way to do it. You don't like to talk to somebody that's going to try to talk you out of it, because it's your dream,
right?
And you're going to take a gamble sometime, but it's still your dream, and if you don't make it happen, you never will.
So when you started, you were working for Shakey's, and we've been running the commercials. I heard all about it, and your late wife Sandy basically said, I'm tired of you doodling all over the paper and the walls and the napkins. Will you go? Just do this already. That's
the truth. And then I was dumb enough to tell people I was going to have sauerkraut, grenade, bacon, pizza, and they said, you got to be crazy. And ice cream? They said, nobody's ever done that. And I said, well, we're certainly going to try.
So what was it about that you saw that was different? The commercial said you had an idea, but you looked around. What wasn't being done back then that you thought needed to happen?
I think the pizza parlors that I saw were kind of a little dump in the corner, kind of making pizzas and not very family oriented.
Like a tavern.
And then Shakey's did a pretty good job of making it family, but they had a teen side that all the kids came after the ball games, and they were standing there eating pizza and drinking pop, and one day I said, they should have ice cream in there. And so I called Shakey's office and told him, I said, why don't we put ice cream in the teen side on Shakey's? You had the teen side and the adult side.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we've got our own idea, people, so we really don't need yours. And
wow.
I said, oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So that made me, I said, oh, my God, I got a great idea, but have no money and probably no chance I'll ever get to do this, but I couldn't quit. I kept drawing pictures.
So you got a bonus from Shakey's. Right? And do you remember like how much money that was?
$1,200 bonus, and I ran to the bank and cleared that thing. And when I got back, Sandy said, "All right, we're going to go open that Happy Joe's someplace." So I thought, well, we'll go to Minot, North Dakota.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. I thought, everybody will know the Whitty name. Well, they knew the Whitty name, but it wasn't for financial reasons.
You had been unceremoniously kicked out of Minot.
Well,
Anyway, I just traveled around. Finally, I said, I'll come back to the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
People know me there. So I went to Brenton Bank. I went to Quad City Bank. I hit all the banks, and of course, as I went, I got better at telling the story, making it more fun. So I became a professional loan hunter.
Yes.
Well, a listener sent us an email, said, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, and I hope that this is true. It says, a Happy Joe's secret. Joe used to do rodeo riding in North Dakota. Is that true, or is that...
I didn't stay on long enough to remember it.
He said, Alan says, I think it was Broncos instead of Bulls or something like that, but ask him about a rodeo in Killdeer, North Dakota.
Oh, yeah. That was about the far as we had money enough to get away from home and go on a trip. Was always straight in the same city or the same state, because I never got out of North Dakota until I was 20-some years old.
Okay. Now all of your kids are involved in the business. Crystal is here. So did you? This was just. You knew this was going to have to be your job? There was no option, or how did it go growing up?
No, I was the black sheep. I wasn't going to be part of anything. I went and did music and theater and did Chicago and LA and all kinds of stuff. And then came back, and someone needed help with someone that left at the corporate headquarters, and I filled in for a summer.
One summer.
And summer is over, and now...
And summer is over, and I was kind of having fun with it, and I had a lot of ideas, and I met somebody also that, being on the road with all that music and theater stuff is tough.
Yeah.
And so it evolved into more of that, and then I decided to get my master's degree and learn more about business, and I really liked it. So here I am.
And was that a relief for you, Joe? Finally, she's come to her senses?
Well, she was traveling all over singing.
Right.
And so we were always trying to think maybe she should come back and work for us. And, of course, when my two sons decided to hire her, she was a lot more expensive than if we'd have got her at the beginning.
She's the better negotiator.
Now, how open is Joe to new ideas? Would you say as open as Shakey's was to his idea, or a little more so?
No, he's actually very open. In fact, we have to calm him down with all his new ideas as well.
Yeah.
Even with digital and all that kind of stuff, he doesn't necessarily know how the back end works, but he knows that you can get a message out to a lot of people quickly, and he's a big Facebook guy now. You can friend him on Facebook.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He'll put a lot of horse pictures on there.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Indians.
I bet he doesn't put any recipes on Facebook.
No,
It's all proprietary.
I'm 80 years old now. I can tell everybody. They say, "Could I get the taco recipe?" And I'd say, "Well, I forgot it."
The location, I think it's the Cumberland Square location. Now, I came to the Quad Cities, and I didn't know Happy Joe's from a hole in the ground, but my wife, who's born and raised in Pleasant Valley, that was a trip. From Pete, when you lived in Pleasant Valley, it was a trip to go to Happy Joe's. It was a night out. It was a big night out.
Was that like if you were good?
I think it was.
Get your homework done, otherwise we're not going, sort of a thing?
And so, the pizza is one thing, the brand is another, the expansion of the restaurants but the fact that your business plan was a night out with the family, you can't replace that. That's a business plan. You can't even write that down on a napkin. It just kind of creates itself. And what a cool thing. And I remember her telling me, yeah, that was a big deal when I was a kid, when we would all, we'd pack up the car and head into town and go to Happy Joe's.
And would it be like a big deal if Joe was there?
She never mentioned if Joe was there or not. I don't know. I've never seen Joe in person. I'd expect you to be wearing a straw hat, to be honest.
But I had it on yesterday in Galena, Illinois.
Okay.
I think by then you had already become, it was already the brand. Happy Joe was already the brand and not just the guy anymore. But what a cool thing.
That family thing out. He was pretty smart. He made tables with round edges so the little kids running by wouldn't bump. And then he made tables that you could slide and put together. So we were one of the only restaurants, and you still can do this, that people come and just start moving our furniture. I mean, you wouldn't go to Granite City and start moving,
Wait, you're not supposed to do that? Okay.
No.
This is good stuff. This
you
is
can
good
move
to find out.
We encourage that, right? So and then you see a family over there. Oh, there's our neighbors. Let's move them in. And so that was pretty cool.
Boy, that is true, because over there on 50th, there's just the only ones that are locked down are the booths around the edges, and everything else you just
and people do
party.
too. Yeah. They treat it like their own dining room.
Okay, here's a question from a listener. This is from Dave. Ask Joe, were there any small business owners that helped you along the way? Because he said it's always been difficult to get someone to believe in quote unquote out of the box ideas. And I'm sure it was the same way back then, or was it?
It certainly was. I had no investment from these people, but they kept nudging me on to keep going, Joe. That's a great idea. I like that idea. You can make it go, and that's what you needed. And I had a lawyer, Bob Van Voorn, in Quad City, which took over all my legal stuff and didn't bill me for about a year, I think, because they didn't have any money to pay it anyway.
Yeah, they had a lot of pizza, the Van Voorn family, I'll bet.
Yeah, right.
And then I had to finally got the Davenport Bank to get me an SBA loan for $30,000, and I always thanked them for that. And I had a friend that came down and helped us paint and wallpaper. I always thanked them for that. And so when I redid the store down on 11th Street one time, I put some fake windows up in front of the place, and I painted Davenport Bank on one, and Sally and Dennis Sissel, and I painted Bob Van Voorn.
Right.
And Bob said, Joe, you can't put a lawyer's name up there. He said, that's against the law. I said, you can't? He said, you got to take that down. So I went up there with a razor blade, and I took down Voorn. So it said Bob Voorn. So I had so many people to thank for just encouraging me. That's what I needed, is more help and more people not trying to talk me out of it, but into it.
So your goal ultimately was just to have a pizza parlor, or was it to have a huge chain?
No, I hoped one store would go. Yeah, and by adding ice cream to it, we'd be the only pizza and ice cream store in the country, and so that basically was the plan from way back when. And we opened, you walked into the place and there's a cheerful, colorful ice cream parlor. Walked back a little further and you were in the pizza parlor room, and we had 2 ovens. We should have had 4. I had a little mixer. I should have had a big one. Right. I had a dough roller. I should have had another one. The health department came one time and looked at my place, and they said, I thought you had a gas stove in here. No, we don't have a gas stove because you got to have a hood. Well, when they come in, I had a nice hard top table that I'd put over top of the gas stove, and they thought I had another desk in the office, and I was cooking my spaghetti and all that stuff and then I'd make a desk out of it again after they left. So we pulled all kinds of games, broke all kinds of rules.
Yes, let's not detail each and every one of the violations, though. Let's move beyond.
But it was really fun.
Yeah, not a rule follower.
But if you didn't make those mistakes, if you knew this is how it all had to be, you would have never went for it, right?
I think sometimes education gets in your way. It tells you, don't pick that location. You don't start something without enough money, and make sure you don't do all these things. And I just kind of forgot those things, I think. And
what kind of student were you in school? Were you a good student or a bad student?
No, I was a great student, and the teachers loved me, but I was not a good student. I got through school because teachers thought I was nicer than the rest of the kids.
Okay.
and I made sure I never let her forget that. Yeah. I was always there. No, I was not a good student. I thought I could go do something on my own rather than go to school and sit in the classroom.
My sister Martha Mary, my third grade teacher, I've told this story before. I was always in trouble, screwing around, and she's like, Billy, if you figure out a way to make a living with your smart mouth, you'll be a rich man. But I checked the newspaper, and they're not hiring smart mouths today. So do your times tables or whatever it was.
Touché.
Well, and you know, that was some pretty good advice. You just, you know.
It worked 99 out of 100 kids.
Yeah, right.
And there's that one. Dear Dorks, this is from Jeff. Tell Joe I love the sauerkraut and Canadian bacon pizza. I get it every time. That's all. That's all they wanted to say.
That's all you need.
Yep.
I remember I was trying to get people to eat in the restaurant one time, and sauerkraut and Canadian bacon kind of scares you when you first hear it.
Yeah.
And so I took over a sauerkraut Canadian bacon pizza to a table, and I said, I want you to try this pizza. And the old guy, the grandpa that was with him, he says, well, I don't like pizza.
Oh.
And I said, you don't like pizza? No, that's for kids, he said.
Oh.
I said, well, I'm going to leave it sit here. You guys sample and see what you think. Came back in about 10 minutes or so, and every piece was gone on the sauerkraut Canadian bacon. And I said, who ate the pizza? And the kids all pointed at Grandpa. And I said, you ate that pizza? And he said, well, hell, that ain't pizza.
Okay. Call it whatever you want as long as you get it at your place, right? Happy Joe Whitty is in the studio with us. We got to take a break. We're getting all kinds of emails from people. Oh, my gosh. Some of these stories we probably shouldn't be telling on the air, but he started it. You started it. So can you hang on? You got a few minutes?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I got to be home by next Thursday.
Okay.
Next Thursday. All right. Well,
we got to rush this along then. All right. Hang on. We'll be right back. More with Happy Joe in just a minute. It's 9:12 at 97X.
Dwyer and Michaels in the morning on the Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority, 97X. And now, back to Dwyer and Michaels. The Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority, 97X.
Happy Joe is in the studio with us, as is his daughter, Crystal. We should talk about, there's all kinds of things coming up. People are coming out of the woodwork from your past, Joe, so we'll find out.
Crystal came with me and make sure I didn't tell a story in the wrong way or something.
Sounds like you've already done that a couple of times.
Did when you start talking about the health department, she's going,
I won the contest in Ole and Lena jokes.
That's what somebody said. Ask him if he knows any Ole and Lena jokes.
Let's not. Okay.
But no, I wanted to talk about a guy from my church. His wife works for you and has for a long time, Holly. And he said that, you know what, Joe, he does this Christmas party, and that will be his thing forever and ever. Your special needs Christmas party.
It's just the biggest present you could ever have.
Why did you start doing that?
When I was at Shakey's, a lady came to the door one night and she said, "Are you the manager?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Would sometime be okay if I brought my special need child to hear the banjo and the piano music that Shakey's had?" And she said, "He loves music." And she said, "I just didn't want to." He kind of gets a little rowdy once in a while and gets excited, but. And I said, "You mean you haven't been bringing him in here because of that?" And she said, "Well, I don't want to do something that's breaking the rules." And I said, "Oh, my God." So I went home that night, and I couldn't get it off of my mind. I said, "Boy, if I ever open a pizza parlor myself," I said, "that's going to be the first thing I do is close up one day a year for special need kids." And I just fell in love with those kids. I mean, you haven't learned how to hug or kiss somebody until you've been hugged by a special need kid, because that's my heart. I mean, the biggest present I can have is going to that party recently. And yesterday I was in Galena, Illinois, for a big party, and it's just amazing. You see that their eyes light up and the buses lined up, and you sit back and say, this didn't take a lot of planning, but it sure turned out well.
Yeah. And can you imagine if that lady had second thoughts or reconsidered, gee, maybe I shouldn't bother this person? How different things might have been. Maybe something else would have happened along the way or something, but have you ever thought about that?
That's what I did. After I talked to her, I went back and started making pizzas again. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I thought, how many kids are out there that would love to be here with us? And I'm thinking, wow, how did we mess that up somewhere down the line? But we did a good job messing it up. But I've been trying to fix it, and I think we got it fixed.
Yeah, but it must have. Try to think about what it must have taken for her to, she checked to make sure there weren't too many people around. She was scared or embarrassed or nervous or whatever. So that happened for a reason. Oh, obviously,
And today we got the other people hoping they get to invite it, so they get to come to the party.
Yeah.
And these kids just dance and have a party, have a party for themselves, and they just got a big smile from ear to ear. And kids that couldn't dance, all of a sudden the teacher sees them up dancing. One could not write in the party at Davenport here that we had, and she could never write, and they went to get ice cream for her, came back, and she wrote her name on the tablecloth.
For the first time.
And this teacher come over crying.
Oh.
She said, I can't believe this happened. She said, I said, miracles happen every one of these parties I've ever been at.
Huh.
Then did you also say, but writing on the tablecloth
is not allowed?
It's not allowed, and it's going to have to go?
No, I wanted to buy the tablecloth.
No, he wanted to frame it.
Yeah.
What I like about the story of Happy Joe is it seems to be, a little bit of luck, a little bit of chutzpah, and a lot of risk taking. That in the end, you look back and you go, well, it just wasn't that big a risk. If you wait till you're ready for most smart, important decisions in your life, you'll almost never do them. And we have an email question that I want to ask that goes along those lines. This guy wants to know, what, if any, was your biggest unintentional setback? Because we all look over the trajectory of Happy Joe's, and it's just this great thing, and everybody enjoys it, and it's it's just one thing after another. But what about the setbacks? What about the times where you went home and you did go, oh, that was a bad idea?
Well, you always try to pick the right people to run the stores, and you don't ace out on that every time, and sometimes you had the wrong people run the store, and we found out way back when that Crystal and our training director came up with a Mickey and a Arthur big stuffed toy in our training room, and we've taught ourselves that we really need a Mickey in our store and we need an Arthur. Well, Happy Joe was the Mickey. I could bring the customers in, but I didn't really give a dang about what the profits were. So I had to have somebody step in, and I had a secretary that told me I couldn't buy a new car one time. I said, I'm going to buy a new car. And she said, no, you're not. I thought, well, who's boss here, me or you?
Wow.
And so it's just crazy how things happen, and one little store is all we really wanted, the way I could raise Crystal and Larry and Julie and Tim, and I had Crystal and 6 years old, and Julie was 12, and they were teaching college kids how to make change.
Well, your special needs party is legendary, the Christmas party, and there's a lot to that. I'm sure you're familiar with the story of the Sparkles cheerleading squad at Pleasant Valley and how that has taken off.
That makes you proud, doesn't it?
Did you hear what he just did for them?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, they were just at our party, and you see them girls get up there, and you think how somebody just did something again that you weren't supposed to do. Right. And I thought, there's another example. You weren't supposed to do it, and somebody said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. And gosh, this thing's going crazy.
Yeah, all over the country.
And we're part of it. So
Yeah, we
that's
just
all
gave
we
them
want to be.
a lifetime sponsorship for a lifetime.
Okay,
for PV. So that's
Joe. That's what
like,
Crystal was trying. This is the
Yeah.
business part of it, where she
Yeah.
wanted. You don't give a dang
Yeah.
about the money. That's where Crystal should
No,
go ahead.
I'm just excited for them because I think as the girls graduate, sometimes things can fall apart. So
Sure.
now they've got insurance that it will.
Well, that's awesome.
Continue forever.
And I don't know if you guys know, Dwyer's daughter was one of the very first
Yep.
Yeah,
Sparkles,
on the first-
Katie.
and now she's at Iowa. So
Yep. I've met Katie a couple times, and I never forgot her. And the other people, a lot of people I forgot, but I didn't forget Katie.
It's difficult to forget. But the sparkles and the sparkle effect. That's another thing that it created and supported here first. It's really cool when somebody thinks of something that should have already been thought of.
Right.
It's amazing how quickly it grows, and so no matter what the idea is, it just needs somebody to have it and someone else to support it.
The cool thing is she was 15 years old, the girl that
Yeah.
created the Sparkles.
Oh, yes.
And then her mom helped, and
Yeah.
now she has some big job where she works for that varsity cheerleading company that makes all the cheerleading uniforms. She's got
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
Kronk.
And she's amazing.
Made a
Her
career.
mom's amazing, too.
Made a career out of it.
Yeah, she
but
did.
Maybe if you have an idea and everybody keeps telling you it won't work or it's a terrible idea, maybe that's when you should go, hey.
Go do it. Nobody's got that idea because nobody did it. So you better tried and failed than not tried at all.
Joe might be older, but he hears something and he goes, that's when you're on to something. Go do it. When they keep telling you it won't work, I can't give you the money for it, you know you've got something right there. All right, somebody said make sure to ask Joe about... and I don't know if I should say this. You had some nuns who would come into one of your restaurants and wanted beer or something like that?
Well, I worked for the nuns at Mercy Hospital before I went to Shakey's.
Yeah.
So I got to know quite a few of them.
Sure.
Became best friends. And so when I opened my Happy Joe's, they kind of adopted me. Like, the reason I made it is because they were behind me,
Sure.
And probably was. Anyway, they come in and they really liked that a glass of beer, and they always felt bad about it.
Did that surprise you? That, hey, sister, what are you? Oh, my good Lord. What are you, beer?
Well, they came to me and they said, we'd like to have a beer someday. But I said, well, hey, let's put the dark beer in Coke glasses. Oh, sister said, you are a genius. I said, no, that just popped in my head. So I'd take over Coke glasses and these nuns would have their cold beer and pizza and just thought it was heaven.
How'd they get home?
That little train, hop on board. Yeah. And it was those nuns praying for you that helped you pass the health department inspection, and everything comes back around.
And he promised them to keep it a secret, and he has not revealed that.
I think the funniest thing is when I was trying to get the banks to go with me, and every bank was listening to my story and saying, well, we really don't finance food places, and I just hopped the bank, and of course I got better and better at telling the story.
Right.
And I finally went into Davenport Bank and did a birthday on one of the vice presidents.
Okay.
They didn't know I was coming.
Okay.
I had a brass horn, and I came in and honked the horn in the bank, and the whole bank, if you remember, the Davenport Bank was the Figgies.
Yep.
And they were up and coming people, and the honking the horn in their bank was not something they'd like to have done. Well, I did the whole birthday, and I got people coming out of the office that normally would never sing happy birthday, and they were all singing. And I said, now this is what you're going to get if if I can borrow some money to put this together. And everybody thought, and then while we were all talking, the president of the bank came over and he says to one of the loan officers, he said, give the kid a loan and get him the heck out of here.
It's causing too big of a commotion. Well, your story is similar. I don't know if you know Bob Black up in Morrison, who started Superwash.
Yep.
Same thing. He's got about $15 in his checking account, and he's got an idea. And he went from bank to bank to bank to bank. Nope. And that's when he knew that he's onto something. And finally, somebody gave him a loan, and I think that banker ultimately he hired to come and run his finance department. So you're the only one of these guys with a brain. So here, and he's like, you look at what he started with, one car wash, and now they're all over the place. You've got Happy Joe's in 6 states, 5 states, 7 states, yep. About 50, 60 units. There used to be one in Egypt. A Happy Joe's, is that right?
Yeah, I was there. Couldn't wait to get home.
Yeah.
Right.
Larry said, Dad, we got to go back there and fix some stuff. I said, no, we don't.
He has his picture on a camel that's in the restaurants. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had the pizza at Superwash. It's awful.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you that. I mean, when did you guys acquire the fire truck?
Oh, that was shortly after I opened up. I said, I don't have any money to advertise. I don't have any money to market the thing. I think it's a great idea, but how's people going to find out about it? And so they had an auction in the city of Davenport, and I went to the auction, and they had this old fire truck sitting there, just, taken care of very well.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to get that thing, and I'm going to put Happy Joe's on it and put candy in the toolbox and balloons flying from. I'm going to make that thing really neat. And I said, but I got to buy it first. And so a bunch of guys were looking at it at the auction, and some guys were looking at it, and they said, you interested in the fire truck? I said, yeah, I'd like to buy it. And they said, what do you think it's going to go for? I said, I'm going to go up to $3,500, and then I'm quitting. They all jumped in their car and left, and I bought it for $1,700.
Nice. I like this part of the story, and I hope my wife's listening, where you don't have money for anything else, but yet you were still able to go buy an old crappy truck or car. I don't know if my wife's listening, but I think that's a lesson to be learned there. No money for anything else except buying an old car
vehicles
at an auction.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. So, okay, now let's turn things around. Fast forward. The bankers all told you no, and now you're a success. People who want to get into business, they can get a Happy Joe's franchise. How many times have people come to you and said, look, I don't have any money, Joe, but I think I could make it go?
I could list about 5 franchisees that I borrowed them the money to pay the
Is that right?
franchise fee to get in, because I really felt good about what their attitude, their willingness to work hard, and they said, we don't have enough money to buy the franchise, and I said, pay half of it, and we'll take care of the other half later on. And I've got probably 4 or 5 franchisees out there that I did that kind of thing.
So you could tell, because it's a weird thing. You can get money anywhere, but you can't have passion or vision. You can't teach that, but you can spot it. And did it worked out for you each time?
Well, a lot of fathers would come in and say, I'd like to buy a franchise for my son. He needs a job. I thought, oh boy, now you got rid of him and I'm stuck with him. And so you kind of had to handpick people, and it wasn't just people that had money. That the ones that did really well in Happy Joe's are the ones that didn't have money.
Had to earn it.
I explained to them that you're going to work 80 hours a week, and you're going to just have to, go out there and break your bones every day in that place. And so those people did well.
Yeah.
It's when you talk about people who they want to work hard and they want to make it work. We just did when we had our Halloween party. This was the first year we had Happy Joe's cater it. It was the West Locust location, and the buffet, the one that has the buffet, which is awesome. They catered it, and we've had a lot of places cater a lot of our parties, but these guys were so involved and wanted to make themed. I mean, they went way off the menu to make cool stuff that was specific to our party. And you know, when you're in the business of having a party for other people, you really pay attention and appreciate when somebody steps up like that. And I bet that's the kind of people that go, yeah, that's who we want. We want them in all of our franchises.
And credit where credit is due. It wasn't our idea. It was Alyssa's idea to approach Happy Joe's, because my first thought was, geez, that's going to add a lot to the cost. We can't afford doing that. And she's like, no. And Joe, you don't want to hear the money part, but
I knew Mark. And so I knew how much of an idea guy that he was. So I reached out to Mark and met up with him. And he's the one that came up with all the ideas. And it was awesome. The buffet
they
was
got into
awesome.
it. Was pretty
Mark
cool.
did a great job.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was awesome.
So he was a good
Thanks,
one.
Mark.
You can keep him around, Joe. You won't have to.
I think the fun part was in North Dakota. I got turned down by every bank in North Dakota, and so after things took off and we had some money in the bank, I opened 2 stores, and mine in North Dakota, and I invited all the bankers that turned me down. Had a big table all set up for them with balloons tied in the back of the chair, and surprisingly, everybody showed up. You know, and
free food.
So it was, and then a teacher that told me I really wasn't college material. I picked her up in a limousine and had some roses laying on the seat.
You did not go to college?
No, I tried.
That's incredible.
When we had our 25th anniversary, he was always a little envious of the guys that would come in with the college ring, you know, the cool college ring that they were, you know, graduated from somewhere. So we decided to give rings to franchisees after 25 years, or maybe it was 20. And so we made him the first one, and we made it look just like a college ring. We said, you went to the school of life, Dad, and, and this is the best ring of all.
What do you get? You talked about, hey, you didn't know about how to do this or that, and all the things you learn along the way. It's still an education, right? But you were the professor. You graded the papers. You were the student.
Yeah.
You were the student.
Yeah.
So
Well, and he would just make friends with someone that knew how to do what he needed, and they would do it. I mean, they'd help him out, and they loved to help him, and he would treat them well too. So he made a lot of good relationships that built Happy
I used to be on the airplane, and somebody'd look at my ring and they'd say, where'd you graduate? I said, Happy Joe U. And they said, Happy Joe U? And then I tell them the story.
And then I bet they wish they had never asked. My God, this is a 4-hour flight. Oh, Lord.
all right, maybe this is a question for Crystal. And we were talking about this. And then, Joe, I got a question for you. When you guys were kids, was it always like, okay, my wife is out of town right now. When, in fact, not last night, but the night before, we had Happy Joe's for dinner. Sausage, by the way, because my son doesn't like pepperoni, whatever. Would it be pizza all the time for dinner because Dad was cooking? Or would you go, oh, my God, pizza again? How did
I sometimes wish we would have said pizza again. That's why none of us are skinny. We still are like, oh, what's cooking? That smells good. You know, we go in the restaurants for meetings, and there's new stuff being tried all the time. And no, it really never was that. Believe it or not, there was always some new twist to try.
So you had pizza for dinner on average how many nights a week?
Oh my gosh. Well, we worked in the stores too. So during dinner we were there
eating on the fly.
Eating on the fly. And then our mom passed away. We were all pretty young. She was 33. So
leukemia, right?
Leukemia, yeah. So we spent more time in the restaurants. And then we had a lady that eventually came to help us, Grandma B, and she would bake cookies and cook things. And we're like, wow, this is a whole new world. But yeah,
his dad wasn't taking care of the kids.
It was Dad was at the store, and we were back and forth. But now being a mom, I really look back and think, wow, he had 4 kids. That's a lot of work. I have my 2 kids and my nephew that also lives with us he came over from overseas from my husband's side, and 3 kids and a job, and I'm running crazy. And here he was with 4 and a whole business he started.
Well, Crystal,
I'm amazed. He did a great job.
They love grandchildren. Just drop them off at Grandpa's house.
Oh, yeah. That's been done.
One day after I lost my first wife, I sat there and I got a pencil and I started marking down, and I think I came up with a wife to replace a wife was about $250,000 a year. Babysitter, dishwasher, laundry lady, lawn mowing, and
so you did learn something about the money.
Lawn mowing.
Okay, now so Joe, my question to you was this, and we were talking about this earlier this morning. I wonder, when you're Happy Joe, can you ever set foot inside of another pizza place? Could you walk into Pizza Hut and they go, hey, what the heck is going on over here? He's either here to steal our secrets, or they're like, hey, he doesn't even eat at his own place. Can you? Is that even possible for you to do that when you're Happy Joe, to go to another competitive?
Well,
competitor?
I don't really do that unless I'm out of town.
Okay.
And wear my cap backwards or something. But
cap is it? You can't.
I was in Galena, Illinois.
Okay.
Or not Galena, Dubuque, and we have a gentleman that works for Happy Joe's with no arms and no legs.
Is that right?
And he answers the phone and and we just got him a car. A bunch of people pooled money together. His new van is a $97,000 van, all electronic, and he has stubby little arms and no legs at all. And to see this kid, but anyway, I went up there to visit him one day and to see him, and I had to talk to him, and Pizza Hut opened a place next door to us.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there talking. He said, hey, Joe, would you do me a favor? I said, what? And he said, can I take you over and introduce you to the Pizza Hut people? They really like your pizza. And I said, oh, okay.
Did you have to go in disguise?
I don't think I want to go over walk into a Pizza Hut, thanks, but I didn't go over with him. But he thought that would have been really neat.
Yeah, hilarious.
Good stuff.
With social media, that picture gets around. Can you imagine?
He'd spin it, though, somehow, that it would work for him. He always lands on his feet somehow.
Right. Well, it sounds like you still have fun doing what you're doing.
Hey, if you can't have fun, don't do it.
That's right. That's right.
That's the best advice we could have used yesterday. If you can't have fun, don't do it. Instead, we all got lectured on how much money we should be saving.
I always tell my Ole and Lena joke. Ole came in and ordered the pizza, and he said, give me a large pizza. But he said, only cut it in 12. He said, last time you cut it in 16, we couldn't eat it all. That always fits in somewhere.
He's railing on me because I was lecturing the young people on our show about saving their money. Save for your future. Nobody going to take care of you but you. So I don't know if you've ever heard that, save and invest 10% of your money and you'll die rich or any of that. I'm curious as to what you think about that and the way kids handle finances these days.
I worked for $4 an hour, and then I worked for 85 cents an hour. And when I graduated from high school, I had more money than my dad did.
No kidding.
I borrowed money to my mom and dad to buy a washer and dryer. And what a proud moment that was for me, because we didn't have one.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a bathroom neither, but it just, I just never could believe that everything was going to be rosy forever. So I always made sure I had money put away for the stormy day or the rainy day, and I just never been a big spender. I'd never have. Somebody had to tell me at the tax time how much money I made. I said, I did?
And they still won't let me buy that car? What's going on around here?
Get that woman on the phone. Get that new car. Well, you never know. So put it away. And save it.
And we used to ask for money to go to the mall or whatever, and he'd say, I don't have money, but I have hours.
Oh, so
sign
you
up
work
for some. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't have run around your house.
Right.
That's sage advice. I'm taking down bits and pieces of knowledge from this interview. Save it for a rainy day. That's so important. If it's not fun, don't do it. I think that's the most important. I also like that thing about who cares about the health department. That's another thing.
I love those people.
Yeah, right.
But if I had to do everything they wanted me to do, again, I wouldn't have been able to open the door.
They got to be reasonable here. Come on.
We love it, Karen. We love you from the health department. Very good to
Crystal's
us.
getting nervous again.
No, we haven't. We're good. We're good.
Okay, here's something from a listener who is not here in the Quad Cities. They're listening online. Hey, you guys, we don't live in the Quad Cities anymore, but I am listening to you online, and you have Happy Joe Whitty on with you this morning. I heard him mention the Happy Joes in Cairo, Egypt. My wife and I lived in Cairo for a year, and we were at that store, so it was nice to have just a little, he says, piece of home so far away. So please tell him thanks.
Well, it's a crazy world over there.
Yeah?
They asked me if I'd like to ride a camel, and I said, well, yeah. And they put me on a camel, and I said, how much? And they said, free. Then they took myself and my lawyer out in the middle of the desert and said, do you want to walk back or want to ride back? So then we paid on the way back.
It's free. Now, if you want to get home, it's going to cost you. What a lousy trick.
We
We got to take a break, dude.
I know we got to take a break. I was going to read Tracy's email to us, and I thought we could close on this.
Okay.
If we're ready to close, I don't know.
Yeah, we probably talked your ear off long enough, but congratulations on your success, and I think what you do with the special needs kids and with JA Biztown.
Yeah.
They're not teaching a lot of that stuff in school, so nobody's going to give it to you.
And
Thanks for having us.
No, I appreciate you coming in.
My wife likes that you put the pepperoni on top instead of underneath the cheese.
Why do you want to hide a good product?
But here's what Tracy said, and let's just end on this. I was Joe's assistant for a short time between 1999 and 2000. I was not ready to leave him, but I had to take a great opportunity close to home, so I took a job at the hospital in DeWitt. Happy Joe is a wonderful and warm man. I loved working at the Happy Joe's corporate office. He knows how to make everyone feel special. I loved that he called me and a lot of ladies at the office darling. Just made us feel like family. I was amazed at Christmas time that he did his own shopping, and he bought me a beautiful warm winter coat. Fond memories of my 18 months working for Joe Whitty. Merry Christmas, Joe.
God bless her.
How about that? That's a
He's a
story.
sweetheart.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Hey, it's always fun to be with you guys.
Congratulations.
You guys make a big difference in the Quad Cities.
I'm doing what Sister Martha Mary told me that I should be doing. So I'm just, she's a nun. I don't want to get in trouble.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in, and Merry Christmas, you
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Happy Joe and Crystal from Happy Joe's. We'll take a quick break and be back. It's 9:44 at 97X.
Dwyer and Michael's Mornings. The Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority. 97X.